Tonight, we're going to dive headfirst into the Senate hearings. There's a lot of talk around Twitter, a lot of conjecture. We're going to go deep inside, do a deep dive, and find out exactly what exactly happened today. And then I want to share a very prominent CEO and why he's very optimistic. And no, it's not Brad Garlinghouse. And we're going to also take a look at some other fun things. And it all starts right now. Chip here with the XRP Minute. What is going on this Tuesday night? It's Tuesday, not Wednesday, not Monday. It's Tuesday. It's a weird day of the week because it's kind of like Monday's the beginning, Wednesday's hump day, Friday's the end, Tuesdays and Thursdays when I broadcast in between, sandwich in between some amazing people such as Jeff from the Huddle Report who's in here today, and on both sides. Then we've got Rain on the Friday night, and of course DNI is actually, I would say, before us, but I'm streaming at a new time, and so he's actually coming up after us. So we'll throw it to DNI and make sure we get off and make sure everybody has time to go check out DNI. And as always, I'd like to shout out the very first person, and man, it's a newcomer. Really happy to announce Moneybags, not Bob Moneybags, but Moneybags is number one today, and we saw that Enorum, which we know who that is, but anyway, Enorum, I believe I'm saying that right. Enorum, I don't know. Enorum was wondering why nobody actually announced first, so he went out and yelled first, like he could call dibs on it by just announcing he could be first. All of a sudden, he was like, I'm first. Sorry, man, it doesn't work that way. You gotta be first. So that's why I always like to do the shout out. Let's shout out some other people. We got Moneybags, Auburn Rain's in here. We have Threadwork. Derek is in here. The Huddle Review. Jeff from the Huddle. Farshad. Ronnie's in here. Who else? Matt Richter. What else? I gotta scroll this thing. Tina Hall. And who am I missing here? Sincerely George. If you haven't caught her stream, you got to check her out. Just basically Google Sincerely George or go to YouTube and go ahead and look for Sincerely George. And there's a lot of my tweets in between here, so I'm looking through. And guys, if you can just take a second to tweet this out, hit those thumbs up. If you're first time here, you know what to do. Subscribe and click that little bell. And occasionally you might get a notification because it doesn't seem to work all that well, but it works well enough. Carl Lewis, comedian Carl Lewis, is in here as well. And we've got Dansky. And I think I pretty much caught up with everyone. Yeah, thanks for tweeting that one out. So there's a lot to cover tonight. How much time do we have? We have an hour, like we always have. So we have an hour together to basically go through some stuff. Over on Mixer, we've got Dazzlecom. How you doing? Hey, what's going on? We're going to start talking about some important things that happened today. And let me just pull the screen up real quick here. Let me see if it's the right one. There it is. All right, let's talk about this. You can see the Senate crypto hearings today happened, examining regulatory frameworks for digital currencies and blockchains. That's a lot, but basically what this came down to was more chatter about cryptocurrency and the blockchain. And Mr. Allaire, I thought, really knocked it out of the park with his opening statement. You can see how excited he looks right there. He's happy. They called his name, and he looked deadpan into the camera. It was like, and we have Jeremy Allaire, Mr. Allaire, blah, thank you for coming. And he gave him that look right there. And then Dr. Nelson was seated right next to him. I actually put him up in exactly the way they were seated, or at least the way the camera positioned them. So we had Dr. Nelson, and then we had Professor Baradarin. I believe that's right how we say it, Baradarin. So if you look at Mr. Allaire, not so happy. Dr. Nelson, a little bit happier. Then Professor Baradarin, she's just all smiles and happy. So I wanted to get that out there first. And just so I could remember the names, because I really thought, coming out of it, very first thing, Mr. Allaire really knocked it out. Let's go back to Sharon here. There we go. So I wanted to just start out by going through, this is on the Circle blog. As you know, Jeremy Allaire is the CEO and founder of Circle. And one of the things that I was hoping that he would actually do today, which he actually did in his opening statement, was he told Congress that his company is leaving the United States because of regulatory uncertainty. And I kind of was hoping it would be in an opening statement. I knew it would be mentioned somewhere along the line. And they sort of came back to this principle. And Poloniex, which is the subsidiary, was actually mentioned by one of the congressmen. So what I wanted to do is kind of go through some things. Wanted to give you my take on what I saw today, the little bits and pieces. Of course, I didn't watch it all. Maybe some of you watched the whole dreadful thing. But the takeaways, key takeaways here is I really believe it's phenomenal. Now, would you imagine this, let's say 2 months ago? How about a month ago? Before Libra announced their coin, we really didn't have much chatter about it. Sure, we had the token taxonomy sitting there in committee. Yeah, we picked up some more Democratic sponsors, which was fabulous. It was starting to grow. It's starting to get a little bit more support. But what we saw was a little broader scope. But what happened? It sat in committee. No votes. Nothing came out of committee. We know we need a few more Democrats to jump on board. There's a lot of rumblings going around Washington right now, and there's a lot of focus on things that, not necessarily on bills being passed. So one of the things that I really love about what happened today, it's just like if you ever heard bad press, there's no press like bad press or good press. It's all the same. It doesn't matter what it is. Sometimes if you know Nike, not too long ago, Colin Kaepernick looked at the Betsy Ross shoe design. He's like, I don't like this. And all of a sudden they killed it. But what happened? They raised a ton of awareness around this whole shoe, and people started putting started looking at Nike in a different way, and they started looking at stuff. And we've seen before that this kind of stuff doesn't really hurt sales. In the long run, it actually helps them. So bad press, or so-called bad press, or what could be perceived as a backlash, doesn't necessarily always translate. So this is what we have to look at for today. Yeah, you could say, well, Congress, they don't really know what they're doing. They're asking silly questions, like what we saw in the House. Yeah, well, they don't know what they're saying. And oh my God, are they really asked that? Are you kidding me? Face palming, that's fine. But what happened today? It's out there, it's being discussed, and who's on top of it now? So sure, we had Libra in the House, right, being taken to the woodshed and giving 30 welts behind the woodshell with a big old wood bat, right? That's fine. But now we're starting to see, and yeah, you could have your assertions about, was it the right people talking today? I don't think any of that matters. What I do think matters is the positive outcome. Questions were starting to be put out there. And I have to say that I was, as far as expectations go, I have to say that I was far more enthusiastic after watching some of the questions. And I have a feeling that, this token taxonomy, this bill that's sitting there, there's becoming an awareness. And whether it's good or bad, and I'll get into some of the bad stuff too, some of the stuff that went on today, but I wanted to go through this. This was on Circle's blog, and basically, it's funny how they start every one of these off very, very similarly, but it's vital that we allow innovators room to grow in the United States, which is what Mr. Alera came out with. Congress should adapt national policies that the U.S. will not be a world leader in this critical new technology. Now, if you look at what's been said, as far as what that letter that came out yesterday appeared as a full page ad in the Wall Street Journal, and the open letter from Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse, that one, and Chris Larson, board member. It's funny how of course, the one that was written that came out of Ripple was perfect, right? And I believe with Miss Lagarde, he was talking to central banks, and one of the things that he was talking, when you listen to him, the way he framed, and it seems to me that technologies and other digital innovations are inevitable. They could be beneficial, and I believe the U.S. should lead in this development, and that's spot on. And I actually covered this story last week when we talked about Circle and Poloniex leaving, and one of the things that I wanted to get to here, let's see. Yeah, okay, this was another really strong point that I thought he made. The guidance the SEC has given is extreme, let's just say this, narrow in terms of what they would deem as not be a security. The vast majority of digital assets, if they were in fact treated as securities, as how we test application and the most recent staff guidance provides effectively, would mean these are not accessible to U.S. persons simply because the utility value of the asset would not be possible to function if it were treated as a security. right? So again, I love the contrast talking about security. And later on, he went to, let me see if this is the bit right here. I'm going to look for it. Hang on. No. Well, one of the things, I don't see it right offhand, but one of the things that he talked about was the reason we need the regulatory clarity, the reason that we have to start leading. And he also talked about the Bahamian government that had clear guidelines, which is why Jeremy Allaire chose to take his company. He's talking about staffing up with 30 plus people in the next 2 years. But again, he was giving clear guidelines. When you know what you can bounce in behind the box, when you know what the regulatory clarity is, you certainly have a better leg up than wondering. The wondering, this is why we are where we are, right? It's mystifying the fact you got the SEC, you got Crypto Mom out there saying, we're taking our time. We understand it's taken a long time. We want to get it right. And sometimes this can prove to be beneficial. Now, for example, I'm a big Apple fan. Apple is the kind of company that doesn't necessarily pioneer some stuff. Yeah, Android had it first. Maybe even Windows Mobile had it first. What they do is they kind of came out and made it right? They came out they thought about it a little bit more. I'd like to think that the U.S. is hopefully taking a position, although I'm not going to bet my cards on it. But I'd like to think that, and wishful thinking that they will come up with the right thing and make it right. He goes on to say that anyone can implement it. It runs anywhere on the internet. This is what he's talking about. You can't really ban crypto. We have to have a monetary policy where these assets are algorithmically generated and they exist everywhere the internet exists. And again, there were a lot of tie-ins to the internet, right? When the internet first came up, what were people going? Oh, I don't know. It wasn't really really embraced on a broad spectrum. But again, the Internet of Things, the Internet of Value, they really tied in cryptocurrency to value. And I love the way they positioned Bitcoin, saying it was a store of value, but it wasn't actually a currency, right? It wasn't like a currency itself, but they attached a value to it. And they went on to explain that the value that is attached to other use cases and their variants, that they vary in spectrum across the board. And this is one of the other things that was highlighted when Brad Garlinghouse put out his open letter to Congress, right? You can't lump them all in. We've heard this. You can't paint us with a broad brush, but guess what happens? Everybody becomes Bitcoin. There's Bitcoins and then there's blank coins, the SH blank T coins I don't like that word because, look, every project has an opportunity to make it. For example, Yeti coin, the use case is really strong. And if you think about the use case, it's either going to work for you or it's not going to work for you. I want to take a second here to jump back in the chat because I've been rambling on. I've been rambling, gambling, man. I've been going on about this whole thing. So what do we got going on in the chat here? RTB is in the chat. RTB, Roy the Badass is his moniker. We have XRP Angel Connie. Thank you for popping in. If you guys want to tweet this out, if you haven't already, Zbits33 XRP. Zbits also is a YouTuber and puts together a nice stream. If you guys could go over and sub, if you haven't subbed, you simply click on those three little dots next to his name. Go to his channel and go ahead and sub and click that bell. Auburn Rain, another streamer in here. Auburn Rain does a Friday night stream. Always awesome. Always something a little bit different, chilled back, and I always love being on it once in a while when I'm on it, but I just enjoy watching it. Sometimes I can't always. We got Dan Espy in here, and I got to say, Dan Espy, what an awesome dude. I hope, Danny, that you're going to start streaming again. When I did 1-2 streams, Danny was one of the people that said, hey, Chip, I want to run some of your spots on my stream, and I was like, what? So I've never forgotten that. It's always been pretty cool. Kurt's son is in here. The U.S. is getting left behind. Yeah, that's a good remark. Thank you for showing up, Kurt. Appreciate it. We'll get into some of these comments. Jeff from Hodl, you're trying to regulate the Yeti coin. Yeah, they try, but they're never going to get a hold of that. But you know why? Because Yetis are hard to capture, and they're very seldom seen. They blend right. They blend right in with the snowy background, and they're always living in caves. People don't like caves mostly because there's bats and things that fly around your head. You don't see them. I mean, they kind of, if you've seen a bat, I always watch Naked and Afraid. You see these bats, they really look like rats with wings. It's kind of a weird sort of experiment. I don't know what happened there, but they're kind of weird. We got Bubba Shipes in here. Early bird gets the worm, second mouse gets the cheese. Hello, Bubba Snipes. How are you? What else? We have Dansky in here. Who else did I miss here? Farshad is in the house. And then we got Ali G. Ali's popping in. Hey, Ali, what's going on down under? Right? And good day, mate. Good day, mate. Is that how they say it? Good day. Good day, good day, good day, good day, good day, good day. That's how they say it. Something like that. I don't know. That was probably horrible. It was probably horrible and pathetic. What are you going to do? But so I wanted to jump back into the whole crypto thing. And wow, that was like a 20-minute rant. That's incredible. So I pound on a 20-minute rant. Yeah, so Circle CEO says stablecoins are playing a central role in driving mainstream adoption of crypto. The critical mainstream use cases for the financial services sector built on blockchains is really required the development of what we refer to as stable value tokens or stablecoins. Libra being an example of that. These have been around for a number of years, 2 years ago. So again, a lot of the main things, I'm not going to get into all this stuff. I wanted to hit the main things. Here's where he talks about moving the operations to Bermuda. Outside the US, there are opportunities for digital asset. Well, no kidding. There's pretty much, you could probably find, like, just throw a dart at a board like a map, and you could find a tiny little country like Bahrain, which sincerely George was talking about today, and they've probably got tons of regulations because, they're working over there. I don't know what Congress is up to on our side, but one of the things they talk about for digital assets and blockchains that are larger, and we spent time looking at all the different jurisdictions and things we focused on as a firm where we wanted there to be an actual high bar from a regulatory perspective, meaning that there needed to be significant serious firms where fundamental risks were being supervised. What he's talking about there is they want to basically mitigate the risk. No company ventures into any new area unless they're going to mitigate the risk always up front. The enterprise risk, the cybersecurity risk, the financial crime risk, anti-money laundering. So these are some of the things they got into. Alex Yeat's in here. What's going on, Yeat? How's that logo design stuff coming? I know for a while you were tearing up the internet with some of those. Hey, XRP Carolina. It was awesome seeing you, XRP Carolina. You were, I think it was last Friday maybe. Brad Kimes had a little mini meetup, saw a bunch of people show up, so it was good to finally see you. Put the face to the moniker. Now I know. Now when I think about you, now I know what I'm talking about here. Yeah, that's right. I know what I'm talking about. Berthold Jibbings here. Greetings from the Netherlands. Love the Dutch, especially the Dutch national team. I actually have a few jerseys, which and it's one of my favorite countries in Europe. Love the Dutch people. I love walking around there too because people start speaking Dutch to me. I can actually blend in. It's one of the few places I can. I go to Chile and people are looking at the Sasquatch, the tall white Sasquatch walking around, and I felt like a giant in the valley of Lilliput. It's just a little bit embarrassing at times, but I almost wanted to sort of bend down a little bit and just not be seen. But when you're big and white like me, you kind of just blend, sort of blend in. So there you go. Yeah, Jibbing's up late, isn't he? Yeah, you are up late. If you're up late, that begs the question: where's Ferdy? He's in the Netherlands. Yes, projection for 2020 asks Zbits. Well, that's a good question, Zbits. We will circle back to that question because I got a lot of stuff. I'm on tab 1. I got 4,000 tabs to run through here tonight. We don't have to get to them all, but I don't really do projections so much as I find. I do want to get there, and I kind of will circle back. And Zbits, just please remind me on that. But I do want to circle back to that. Yeah, so this was on the Circle blog. This was an announcement where they said they're excited to be opening a new office in Bermuda, plan to grow our Bermuda staff to more than 30 people. I had mentioned that before, with roles including general management, risk compliance, finance, trading, and customer operations. So yeah, they're excited about it because now and the funny thing about it is, the thing about Bermuda that's fun, and Jeff from HODL knows this because Jeff is about, 25 minutes away south of me, and basically if you get in a boat and drive west, you run into somewhere in the Bahamas, right? So that's one of the amazing things. And then if you just make a left turn and head up, boom, you hit Bermuda. Now I've been to Bermuda and I really didn't think they wore Bermuda shorts. I thought it was just like a name, a thing. But when I got off, when I hit land and I got off the plane and I'm sitting there and I'm looking and I see businessmen with cool jackets on, short sleeve shirts. They've got the, attire on. I see them in Bermuda shorts. I was like, they really do have Bermuda shorts. So you take straight across, you hit the Bahamas, you take a sharp left, you head out to the ocean there, and boom. And that's the Bermuda Triangle, which maybe you want to fly around that. So again, Bermuda's a cool little island. I had the pleasure of going there, I don't know, 90s. I don't remember when it was, but it was some time ago. It's a really cool little place. People are really awesome there. Okay, let's talk about some of the things that didn't go so well. Now, this is kind of funny because, everyone's got to get their digs in. Everyone feels like this is a way to showboat. Listen, everyone's asking questions and learning, but no. So blockchains are well and good, but they won't be enough to bring financial services to the underbanked and unbanked. At least that was the drift of U.S. Senate hearing on cryptocurrency regulation. During the Senate hearing, Brian Schatz, he's a Democrat from Hawaii. Do you get what I'm saying here? A Democrat from Hawaii starting to cause a little bit of issues here. So he questioned Jeremy Allaire on the matter. He said, what it sounds like to me is tech people wanting to wave a wand and skip a bunch of steps and avoid the tough politics of doing things for people and say, we've got a new tech that will solve all this stuff, Schatz told Allaire. Do you really think I'm in a society where only 81% of the public currently has a smartphone? We're anywhere close to democratizing the use of these products? Well, let's look at this. I mean, I don't know what the poll numbers say, but I would imagine that it probably, if you would look at what it looks like on the unbanked, do they have a mobile phone? Not all. But if they have a mobile phone, what are the number of people unbanked that have a mobile phone, right? So yeah, is it going to cover and be all inclusive? No. But one of the points that was made, and I think it was the professor that made the point. One of the things that she said when the unbanked question came up, she really hit it right on the head. She said, look, what happens when you've got needs, immediate needs? You have a family, you have a mom or a dad that needs to buy groceries, put food on the table. They go to a check cashing store, they get ripped off 10% versus now they didn't get into the whole, Ripple or XRP or moving stuff, but the idea of being able to do it for less. What if it was 1%? And the point being was it was all about now. I need it now. I don't have time for a check to clear. I mean, a lot of times in the U.S. we have direct deposit. The point of it is that the people who are unbanked have to go to a check cashing store. They have to go someplace else. And it's just not a fair system for them because it always costs them and it hits them hard in the gut when it comes to the fines and the fee. I call it a fine because it really does hit pretty hard. So, Allaire basically said, Schatz told Allaire, I don't doubt the potential for this tech. I just don't think it's going to bank low-income communities, and I don't think he persuaded anyone that it's going to do that. Allaire agreed the problem of financial inclusion is complex. Yeah, he agreed it's complex. But the bottom line is, yes, the unbanked, you have a phone, you have a means to be able to be able to move money and do it more cost effective, right? And let's go. Let's head back over to the chat here. What do we have in here? We got Cryptic Life is in here. Hey, Cryptic, what's going on? Bubba Shive, say what you need to make payments into lots of different fiat currencies, and you receive payments from lots of different fiat currencies. Right on. Yeah, BZ Comedy Channel. Hey, what's going on? Bubba Shive says you can hold a single pile of XRP instead of lots of piles of different fiat currencies. Yeah, that's true as well. And XRP, yeah, Payroll Solution, Carolina, just going through the comments here. That's how XRP can be the best asset for payments, but not replace fiat. It can be the way you handle needing to interoperate with large numbers of different fiats. Right, exactly. And I always say, I feel like we're going to get to a day where people aren't, your common people on the street will not know what XRP is. They just know they have an app where they press a button and somebody else has the money in another country in 4 seconds. They don't need to know it's XRP. What they need to know is that the use case is solid, it works every single time, and that's what they're really interested in. The problem is solved. And a lot of times when you have these use cases, are you solving a problem? And I put out a tweet not too long ago where I said, yeah, you know what? Ripple took a look at a serious problem and they solved it. Mission accomplished. That part of it was accomplished. Now it's the matter of adoption on a broader scale. Alex G, Cryptic Life, welcome to the XRP Minute live show. Yeah, I appreciate you, Cryptic Life, and thank you for stopping in for the live show. And Alex G, thank you for the warm shout out as well. XRP Connie Angel, always such a great supporter. Hit the thumbs up and subscribe. If you haven't, those make a big difference in expanding the audience. Organic FUD is in the house. What's going on, Organic FUD? Good to see you as well. Yeah, we see Bubba Snipes. That was all from Joel Katz earlier, not me. Okay, good. I was thank you. That was good. I was like, Bubba Snipes is like brilliant, man. But yeah, it was all from him. Not that you're not brilliant, because I loved you last night on the Hodl Report. But I was just saying, wow, this is thought-provoking, amazing, good stuff here. So yeah, thank you for sharing that, and thank you for letting me see that. But it doesn't matter. You're the one that posted it there, so I was the one, Bubba, that was more or less shouting you out. And look at this, man. We're already halfway through the show. One of the things that I wanted to talk about here was, let's go into, hang on a second. We'll get there. Oh, that's not it either. Wow. Anyway, I wanted to see, this is what I love, when you have the stuff read. Here it is, right here. So this is pretty interesting too. So this is a little short video. Blockstack CEO discusses a regulatory aha moment. And this is what I liked. Now, Blockstack is another company similar to Ripple in the way they approached it. They went to regulators first, and this is absolutely going to create a far better result than trying to sidestep things and go around. I mean, we all know that that's how Bitcoin started, but the Bitcoin is out there. It's out of the box. You're never going to be able to put the genie back in the box, and it's out there. So Manib Ali, CEO of Blockstack, is attempting to build a decentralized internet where users have control over their own data. Something I'm really a big fan of. Why? Because our data is compromised. I just saw Capital One, I believe it was today, where they just got hacked, and then more user data leaked, right? So the only good thing about the story was they actually caught somebody, or they arrested somebody who they suspected. They don't think there was a real breach, but let's come on. I mean, when does it end? When does our personal data, when is it, obviously if you're going to be on social media, you can choose what you want to be able to put out there. But I like what Blockstack is attempting to do here. He spoke with CoinDesk Leah Quinn on how his firm's native utility token gained regulatory A+ regulatory approval and what it meant for the industry. This is the first time ever a crypto asset got qualification from the SEC that it's okay to distribute this to the general public. That being said, okay, so this is what he said. I think in general, I am obviously very optimistic about the coming years, as am I. Just like our SEC qualifications went through, I remain very confident that the same would happen for exchanges as well, he said. So we'll actually have more accountability and more transparency. And I look at an industry that's maturing, right? You're already doing this in many innovative things. You can reuse lessons from the past decades of why it's a good thing to have discipline and why it's a good thing to be transparent. I couldn't agree more with that. I think you would find the same thing true of the company Ripple, not a more transparent organization. Now, they recently announced a partnership with Chile's Currency Bird, and that was signed back in March. Now, what precludes them, a lot of times Ripple, from going and announcing this has largely to do with NDAs, non-disclosure agreements, because what happens is it will be announced when the company wants it announced, right? Sometimes they want to keep it under wraps. Sometimes they have to talk to shareholders. There's a lot of different hurdles they got to go through, but they don't need to be blabbing it. Sometimes they want to keep it from a competitor. They want to get a leg up. They want to be able to launch and hit the ground running before they tip off their competitor. We had MoneyGram, and the very next day, or it was the CEO from Western Union saying, I'll sign tomorrow, I'll sign now, I'll sign now, I'll sign it, give it to me. Where's the paper? And he was like ready to sign off on it. He got a little bit excited. I got a little excited too, but he's like, no, I'll do it tomorrow. Where's Brad? I'll do it. We'll do it. Because they've been talking about it for a long time. So it's not like they weren't going to do it. Of course, companies will always look after if they're a public company, their shareholders, they look after the bottom line. And when we think about banks, when we think about central banks, the most important thing they got going on is the bottom line. What kind of revenues are they pulling in? What helps them save money and thus make more money? What has them do it quicker? This is why I believe we have backed the best horse in the race. There will be others, but that's why I believe that Ripple as a company and the software they built, when you marriage that with XRP, the digital asset, you get boom, you get explosion, and you've got a really great horse that's just gonna, take off. Right now the horse is doing some trotting. If you ever go into a horse race, they put them in a circle and they trot around, and they look really good, and they kind of look around like, yeah, I'm a horse. I'm going to be racing pretty soon. There'll be a jockey on my back, and then I'm going to rip it, and I'm going to go ahead and win this race. So that's always a fun thing. Let's jump into this. So this Blockstack, which I really like, and again, if you guys aren't Blockstack, you basically sign up. You get one universal login. It's all built on a blockchain, and there's a bunch of these dApps that are built off of it. And let me see. Now, I remember when they first came out, I signed up. And let's see. Yeah, there's a lot of good dApps on here. Let me go into one that I like. This. Now, you guys have all heard of Patreon. Patreon allows a lot of the YouTubers out there to have a Patreon. They rely on your support, and different Patreon levels give you different benefits from that particular content creator. So if you get a higher level, you might receive some special updates. You may receive some video onlys. And so one of the things that's happened with Patreon is, and I want to dive into this and why I'm such a big believer, and I think we all are as a whole, of blockchain technology. And we always cover blockchain stuff on here. They're talking about a specific use case, but let's take a look at this. One of the things I like about BitPatron.co is number one, it is built on Blockstack. Number two, they basically support free speech. Their Bitcoin adoption, I don't know if they'll add other cryptocurrencies. I did tweet them some time back. They weren't so keen on it. I asked them if they'd ever include XRP. They're really kind of BTC maxis, but I think as they grow and as they basically bring on new communities, I kind of see that would happen. So this one right here, one of the things that I like, look at the contrast here. Here's Patreon. They take 10%. BitPatron takes only 1%. You get paid out weekly on BitPatron. You get up to 30 days on Patreon, right? The minimum pledge, there is none. And what I like about that too is, this also can be accomplished on the tip bot. If you like a particular content creator, you could say, look, I want to do 0.589 every month, and you could have a recurring payment go out to them, right? The user interface isn't really there, but it is possible to create the recurring sort of, I wouldn't even call it a payment, but the recurring tip. So if you look at free speech, yes, no. Patreon, no. Why? Because they have banned some prominent people in the internet, some organizations, and banks have also banned some of these players. And this is one of the reasons that I always support anything that supports free speech, browsers. That's the way Blockstack is built. Podcasters, video creators, Discord groups. So it's really a phenomenal sort of a package, right? So, and it has a pretty nice interface too. If you want to, you can actually go on here too, and you can explore like what some of them look like. You can see, look, their base of subscription starts at $1.99 a month. Videos for kids and there's all kinds of amazing stuff on here, and you can see the different breakup that they have in here as well. What am I missing in the chat? Sup, Bubba Shipes, Alex G. Hey, Omar. Omar's in here. I don't see his name, but I see, there's Omar Kaufman. Hey, Omar, what's up? And SG says, Sincerely George says, Capital One. That's right, 106 million accounts. A real breach. White Hat reported it in July. They searched the records, and the breach was from March. Yeah, I think it was announced via an email. It's kind of like, hey, there's something bad happened, and they're like, well, we don't know. I mean, we get around to it, right? So yeah, they publicly just announced that, yeah, it happened today. And G Money XRP says the Brave browser. That's right, Brave browser is pretty cool too. And Brave's not too dissimilar. You got the Puma browser that's on mobile that always has, and I don't know, a few of you folks probably have, you might be running a different browser. I don't know what browser you guys run. Some people may be running the Brave browser. I like Brave a little bit more for my mobile. I think it's a little bit more efficient. But again, just only because I run a lot of plugins. So, but you may be running Coil too. So you have Coil competing. Not too long ago, there was a report they kind of, or at least looking at the difference between Coil, like who was winning the race between Coil and Braid, because they have a kind of a similar sort of a look there at what they're trying to accomplish. Yeah, and yeah, what's going on? So you're heading up to Detroit. So Hodl's heading up to Detroit. That's cool. That's good. Yeah, Coil. So Bertold Jipping says Coil. So yeah, Coil. If you go to, I believe, guys, if you could stick it in the chat there, Coil, it might be Coil.com. But I was one of the early beta people for Coil. Basically, you can get a $5 or $10 subscription. You put a plug in, and it works with the Chrome browser. When you're visiting a content creator like myself, other people out there, almost all the major YouTubers have it. I was on Sincerely George's stream a little bit early, and she also, I'm contributing with their micro payments that you can see roll around, and it basically uses that $5 subscription. So it doesn't seem like a big deal, but suppose you have, in this particular chat, we have 40 people on. So you have 40 people watching, and let's say 20 people are contributing. So it does really help. It does help across the board. So I would recommend you plug in Coil. I mean, it's $5 a month. Again, I was in on the early, the beta side, and also if you go into Coil 2, if you have a Coil subscription, there's a lot of content creators that will post blogs. I know Hodor's put some blogs that have been really exclusive, like where he puts most of the blog, but to see the rest, you got to log in with Coil. So those kind of articles and posts that people are putting up really help people get into it. Now, I'll tell you one of the things when I was trying to figure out when I was in Chile, my brother-in-law, some other people that I set up with XRP, one of the things that I did, because I was down there visiting 2 weeks ago, and one of the things I did, try to think of the fastest way. Now, you guys are way smarter than I am, and you probably come up with a better way in the chat. You'd be like, well, Chip, if you just did this, and then you did that, and then boom, you hit the button, it would have worked. What I was trying to do in a fast way, and something that would be not too difficult, was because the XRP tip bot is so easy to use, what I had my brother-in-law do, I said, go to coil.com. I think it's coil.com. I don't know if somebody put it in here. I can go check on that. But what I had them do is go to Coil, basically log in, create a user account. Once they create a user account, because you don't have to have a subscription necessarily. I mean, you can when you want to basically help other people out in the ecosystem. But then he was able, and I don't know if you guys know this, but XRP, Weezy Win added this to the XRP tip bot. Because he didn't have a Twitter, and he didn't have a Reddit. So I was like, well, what else can we do here? So basically, he logged into the XRP tip bot. He pulls it up. He downloads the app. He logs in. I go, check this out. Boom. And I sent him 20 XRP. He's like, what just happened? I go, you have it. What? Yeah, watch. I'll do it again. Boom. And it was just a lot of fun to watch. It's fun to watch when it's like 3 seconds, 4 seconds, bam, it's there. So that was pretty cool. And I don't know if that was the best way, but that was the best way. The first thing that came to my mind, because there's a couple exchanges down there. There's actually something that I learned when I was basically researching in Chile, some exchanges for some of the folks that I was helping get on, giving them some XRP to get them started. There was and I think it happened in December, a couple of the banks shut down users' accounts, not allowing them to purchase digital assets. And it went to the Chilean Supreme Court, and it was overturned, saying that these two exchanges any bank had to couldn't prevent the rights of users buying cryptocurrencies, which I thought is pretty incredible, given the fact that Chile is a pretty small country, and it escalated to the Supreme Court, and they overturned it pretty fast. And now they've set a base point, and now you look at other companies, and I talk about this. One of my colleagues in my office was buying cryptocurrencies on CoinDesk, and all of a sudden he got shut down, or not CoinDesk, Coinbase. He got shut down. I said, what happened? He goes, oh, my credit union won't let me buy cryptocurrencies. Like, what'd you do? I changed banks, So that's how he handled it. He changed bank. What's up, Bones? What's going on, Bones? Hey, man, great stream last night, man. Crazy great stream. If you guys don't know the Zoo, who doesn't know the Zoo? Legendary. But yeah, man, that was always a good time. I always have a lot of laughs on that. Spanish Fly's in here. What's going on, Spanish Fly? How are you doing? So this is one of the things that I like about this kind of clarity, keeping free speech open, making it easier for people to be able to, and you could do micro donations here, which, could be a quarter. A quarter's not a lot, but if 100 people do it, if 1,000 people do it, this is what I really like. So I wanted to get into a little bit of Ripple news. Ripple partners with Kyoto University, University of Tokyo for blockchain research. Again, another, the news really never stops Cryptocurrency giant Ripple partnered with Kyoto University and the University of Tokyo as part of its university blockchain research initiative. So you know that they've been adding universities, and this is just the latest one. Press release actually came out today, or I think it was yesterday. What time are we on? Yeah, we are the 30. Yeah, okay, we came out today. Let me go ahead and hide the noise here. Imo Yashikawa, what the heck? I can't say that. I'll just go with MEY, Senior Director of Global Operations at Ripple, noted that there is high interest in blockchain within Japanese academia. Interesting. How do we know this? Well, because Japan is basically lighting the way. It's like they're standing on a boat, they've got a lantern, and there's all kinds of stuff, and people are scared and nervous, but there's Japan lighting the way, and they're out there hammering away at it. So you can only imagine that academia is going to follow. Japan is quickly becoming a leading force in crypto assets and blockchain. The region's always been forward-thinking and exploring ways to improve the current financial system. We've seen high levels of interest from the academic community on topics around blockchain and crypto. Ripple's committed. So I'm not going to read the whole thing, but this is, again, when you look at the way Ripple, the company, is bridging everything, they're bringing in parts from academia, right? So the research, because some of the brightest minds in research come up from universities. By the way, I was driving home today and I heard about this revolutionary contact. Now, I'm kind of a weird dude. I actually wear contacts and glasses. I need the glasses to see close up. But how many people do you know that wear glasses and contacts? But they said they've got a new breakthrough. I forget the university. One of the universities out there, they said they've got a new contact that can zoom in. I'm like, where can I get some right now? Where are these? I want them. Yeah, zoom in. I don't have to wear these stupid things anymore. But then I can't see close up. Everything looks blurred. I can't read your comments. And that's not a good thing. So we see that there's more Ripple news coming out. I wanted to talk about Mr. Katao here. This is a tweet that was put out by Dylan at Dylan, SBICE remittance. So we created a mechanism, and it may contribute to XRapid using XRP. Really? May? There's a hint. Love this. Again, I get into a little bit of the Ripple news. Let's go back in here into the comments here. What's being said? Hello? Hi? How are you? Phantom was a trip. Yeah, Phantom was a trip, man. Phantom made me laugh. And I love sometimes when you throw it to Phantom, and he'd be like, hello, are you there? And he was like, I think he was just watching the show. I think he was just engaged. I don't know. He seemed like he was into it. And so Jungle really sprung a good one out there, man. That was a lot of fun. If you guys haven't seen the zoo from last night, go back and watch it. It was a trip. It had the Phantom Menace. I don't know. That was actually a Star Wars movie. I don't know what he calls himself. The Titanium Genius. I don't know. It's a good laugh, and he puts out these good videos. So what else we have? Where do we have? The block tax. Yeah, block tax. We better go ahead and trademark that one, because block tax, that incorporate data acquired from Vision on the contact that's connected to the blockchain, called and then Zbits has coined it, called block tax. I like that. Cyborg chip. Yeah, cyborg chip. These stupid glasses. I don't know why I'm wearing them. Yeah, blind as a bat. And we talked about bats. I don't know why bats made it onto this broadcast, but bats, they do get a bad rap. They are rodents with wings. They're weird looking. They got a lot of fiber hair. I'm not going to, why do we keep talking about these bats? XRP Run, how are you doing? He says, what do you think Swift will announce at Sibos regarding R3? Anybody's guess is as good. Who knows at this point? I don't know. The speculation's hard. I don't really like to speculate too much, but all I know is that I think what's really starting to bubble up is what we've all kind of looked for, that's going to pave the way for a lot of what's coming in the future, and that's regulatory clarity. So when the Senate's talking about it, good, bad, hammering them, people are paying attention. They're seeing it on their local news. I think it was maybe less than a week ago where Ali G shared on her national broadcast in Australia a story about cryptocurrencies. Now you're starting to see this stuff show up in the mainstream, and she tweeted out. It actually got a lot of play, but this is the kind of stuff we want to see. It doesn't matter if they get it right. It doesn't matter if they even know what they're talking about. What matters is when my mom calls me, 70-some-year-old woman calls me, and she says, I'm super excited about Libra, right? But then, speaking of Libra, Zuckerberg plans to wiretap WhatsApp he'll do the same with Libra. Uh-oh. Oh no, what's going on here? Well, Mark Zuckerberg's Facebook reportedly working on a backdoor content scanner for WhatsApp. WhatsApp? That's how I talk to all my friends around the world and all my friends. That's how I talk. I mean, my God, I talk to a lot of you in this chat here. I mean, come on, really. I mean, huge violation of privacy renders WhatsApp end-to-end encryption pointless. Right, and that's kind of a great point. You know, the idea a lot of us started using WhatsApp to begin with had to do with end-to-end encryption. Now, if you got a backdoor on there, that's not cool. Paul Shetler put this tweet out, get off of WhatsApp. Facebook announced earlier this year the preliminary results from its efforts to move a global mass surveillance infrastructure directly on the user's devices where it can bypass the protections of end-to-end encryption. Now, if we take a poll, what do you think this kind of story is going to do when people think of Facebook, right? It doesn't help. You know, if you're Facebook, you kind of knock this off. You know, it's like, hey, man, you know, your hand's going to the cookie, jar, and it's like, mom's like slaps your hand, and it's like you don't go like, with a mischievous look on your face, like, I'll just see if I can grab one more cookie. If you're under scrutiny, just knock it off. Stop doing this kind of stuff. This does not bode well for Facebook or Libra or any of the stuff. And as people, our XRP community and our community at large, the cryptocurrency digital asset holders, knock it off, man. We don't need more of this stuff. So this WhatsApp wiretapping, I wanted to kind of bring this up because we talk about privacy here a lot. I don't like when this stuff happens. Let's go on here. So I actually saw two stories about this, but a powerful Indian tech lobby blasts government proposed cryptocurrency ban. Now, this is good. You're starting to see some pushback by a tech lobby. It's very powerful in India. And there were two stories that kind of came up about this, but I'm not going to jump into it because I got some other stuff. And I want to end on time because I know Digital Nomad Investor, DNI, as you know him, is coming up next. I want to be mindful of the time here. And like DNI, I'll probably take about 10 or 15 minutes to wrap it up. But I got to start now so I can get this stuff going here. So India is a hostile regulatory environment. So you guys think it's bad in the U.S. They're like, we're banning it. And there's other countries jumping on the bandwagon. They're like, we don't need cryptos. They're bad, So you think the U.S., hey, we're talking about it. We're having chats. Hey, we like Libra. We hate Libra. We like Facebook. We hate Facebook. Privacy. They're just like, they got the ban stamp. There's a guy over there, his job is to put ban on stuff. They put a piece of paper in front of him, he clicks ban. That's his job. I don't know. He clicks it and he hits the ban thing. And right now, when you get the strong pushback, this is good for everybody, especially India. It's got a population of over 1 billion. And how many cryptocurrency users do you think are active? I would guess a ton of them, right? And I'm not going to get into stuff that happened in fiat currencies over there. But I wanted to talk about, put a light on this for a second because I think this is important. Now, Sincerely George rolled out this morning a site called All Things XRP. You can find it at allthingsxrp.com, and it's an awesome site. It's amazing to see that the people and the talent in this industry, in our community. We have so many talented community members, and a lot of times we don't even know what their talent is, like a hidden talent. So I love this because basically a little bit about XRP. It's the native currency used on the XRP ledger. Talks about cross-border payments, eco-friendly. And so she kind of rolled this out today on her stream. I wanted to talk about it because I think this is great for our community. I'm going to go ahead and share it down there. You guys can click on it, open up a link, and then so you guys have it because you're going to forget. You'll be like, what the hell is that site that Chip showed? Something about XRP. I don't know, man. I don't know. And you're not going to watch the whole stream. So there it is. All Things XRP. And I don't know if Sincerely George is still in here. But I believe she is. So let's take a look at this. This is the coolest thing I've seen. And this is the XRP calendar. So now, guys, we actually have, you go like, well, gee, I wonder, I don't know, what's going on tomorrow night? Well, there you go. And again, it will get built out. There will be more things added to it. But you see, Crypto Eddie does her video drop usually in the morning. She does it usually early, but we all wake up in the U.S. to it. And I guess if you're Ali G in the U.S. Over in Australia, you're getting it probably at nighttime, what I'm guessing, or at least the day before. So it's a calendar. You get to come in here. You get to throw in your stuff. Obviously, it'll have to be It'll have to be like I have like see on days where the XRP Zoo broadcast. I'm going to change that. I'm not going to go against the Zoo. I'm a Zoo member. I'm a Zoo crew as we say. So I'm not going to go there. But they don't always broadcast, so I may go, and that it may work out better for a later time slot. But this is absolutely fantastic. So we can see what's going on. You can take a look at the week and some of the stuff. There's Cobb's live stream. There's the minutes. So it's kind of cool to see it in a calendar view. And again, it's fantastic. Sincerely, George, you put this together for the community. I know you're going to build it out. Jungle Inc. says popping bottles. Yeah, that's what I love to see. This is very cool. What's up, Jungle? So this is actually really cool. Again, you know, some of the things, these are more or less about the live streams. But and I've aggregated a bunch of content that I'm going to share with Sincerely George as well. But this is great. And if you come here, please send some love. Go open that tip page and you know, send just whatever you want to send from whatever comes from your heart. Like I said, a little bit helps. So I'm sure that this site will get built out over time. But I wanted to bring it up. I think it's awesome for our community. I wanted to talk about this too. As you know, AVC is a fantastic blog that I like to read. This is a blog that is written by one of my favorite VC people out there, Fred Wilson. If you don't know Fred Wilson, he's a legend in the VC space. He's been doing this blog for some time. So here's the thing. So they just released Haven, one of the Open Bazaar released this app called Haven. Finally, people in the world can connect directly to each other using their mobile devices, trade privately, no credit cards, no banks, no tech companies tracking their activities or charging listing and transaction fees. What? That was a mouthful, but that's exactly what I've been looking for, right? No credit cards, no banks, no tech companies tracking. We just talked about breaches, the Google breaches. You know, we've had all kinds of the privacy, Facebook. So this is actually pretty cool. I wanted to feature it here, but you can guys go download it. I believe it's available on Android and iOS. But again, you could buy items here. You know, there's items you could trade. And coffee seems to be the theme here on these particular screenshots that Fred Wilson shared. And right now, I believe that I don't know if they take XRP. I didn't get into it, but I saw this story. Thought it was pretty exciting because I'm always frequenting his blog. But again, there's Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash not accepted. But then again, you can pay in Bitcoin. And this is absolutely great. So now we don't have to worry about that. And we're going to start seeing more and more of this stuff. Bitcoin and Litecoin is what they have right now. So Zcash, Ethereum coming soon. Funny they don't have XRP, but I'm sure that will come out soon. Let's click over here as we come. Yeah, here's your private world. There it is. So it's Get Haven app. If you guys want to check this out, I got no horse in this race. I just like to talk about cool tech, but there it is. You guys can hit the button whether you want to go to the Apple Store or the Google Play Store and download this. Start checking it out. Take a look at it. Let me know in the comments if it's a good app, if it's a bad app. You know, if you're first time here, please hit those thumbs up and click on that subscription bell. You may be notified, you may not be. It's kind of testy, but I'd rather you at least, you know, take a shot. Check this out. Everything is on the blockchain. There's a firearm firm that won a patent for integrating blockchain into a black box for guns. You're like, what? What exactly is that? Is this a controversial story? It's really not. Justifier uses a combination of autonomous sensors to capture every aspect of a given situation. In case of self-defense, the data can be used to recreate the action and events leading up and to and after discharge. This is actually pretty good. With this sensor can actually sense what's happening. If somebody's coming at you, if somebody's hitting you, if you're being attacked, it can recreate this, which is actually pretty cool. And what it does is it also uses 2 mounted SD cards to store the encrypted data. The inventor and Justifier CEO Jason Palazzolo argues pairing Justifier with blockchain breeds integrity into sticky legal situations. Right. So it's not a their word versus the other word. This is actually capturing real data and incorporating it in the blockchain. And we are coming up almost on an hour, folks. Yeah, there we go. So let's So U.S. Defense Department to experiment with blockchain-based security. The U.S. Department of Defense, the DoD, is pursuing blockchain solutions for cybersecurity as part of its digital modernization strategy. The DoD released plans for blockchain tech and 4-year roadmap on July 12th. So this is cool. So we're seeing really blockchain really in every facet of everything that's being done. We're moving quick now. We've got a roll going on here. And let's go over here. This is something I always like to go into fun. You know, Crypto Eddie has her, the fluff. You know, I don't even have a name for the segment yet, but I just like, these are like things that I stumbled upon on the internet. I just like bumped into them and I think they're cool. So these are 9 doormats that'll help you make new friends. I'm not so sure about that promise, but what I know is this is pretty badass. Mike's House Mix, you know, a giant old school cassette tape. You know, there's a pair of shoes on there just so you can see the no scrubs, right? Get it? No scrubs. Love that. That's from Urban Outfitters. The BRB, I'll be right back. You know, like in other words, don't knock at the door. Take off because I'm not home. Could be a trip off to the a borderline doormat. Here's I don't know what that is. This looks like a normal doormat to me. Here's one that's a watermelon doormat because, you know, it's kind of fruity and exciting and special. And then we've got the tasseled Moroccan doormat, which is actually pretty cool, you know, as far as the doormat goes, because most of them are pretty ugly. You get them at your like Home Depots, you know, your hardware stores. And then we've got, hi, I'm Matt. I'm sorry, what? Yeah, I'm Matt. Hello, I'm Matt. Get it? Matt? Funny. Kind of classy, kind of hood. Split the difference, like that too. And then we got, you know, what we hear a lot in this chat is like, sup. You know, and sometimes you got to do the head nod too, you know, sup. You know, sometimes you just do that. You see somebody, you're like, they know what you're talking about. They give you the head bob back, sup, right? Here we go. We're in the final stretches, guys. Now, I love this too. Now, with these like Fitbits, you can go ahead and share maps in this particular runner. So he's basically been creating images by running up and down San Francisco streets. And this is fantastic. His name is Lenny Mon. And he reproduced a portrait of Frida Kahlo while running his 46 kilometers on San Francisco streets. That looks like a pig to me. I mean, I could be wrong. I see an M there, but yeah, it's a pig. So he's got to figure out map him out, a guy running, right? So he shares these. Next up, we've got a rose or a flower of sorts, a giant foot. You know, this is clever stuff. It takes a lot to put it together. Yeah, you know how I would do it is I would take it and Photoshop it in there and just color the streets in. But it takes a little bit of, because some of this stuff, it looks like he's got to cut through places. I'm not exactly sure. And maybe, who knows, maybe that's exactly how he does it. A cat. And my favorite one here is a beer, you know, overflowing with the old suds and a little martini at the end. I thought that was pretty good. Yeah, so that's it. I know that Sincerely George had a question she had back here. I wanted to see what it was. What is the question? Jungle says he just found Arthur Brito in an old California assembly meeting with Ripple. What? Holy cow, that sounds like an epic video coming out if it hasn't come out already. That's pretty cool. So you have a photo, I'm hoping? I'm hoping you have a photo. Blah, blah. What are we doing? I'm sorry, guys. I can't find it. I always hate that. Question. Do you think the regulators are having a hard time not saying XRP Ripple today? You know, I don't know if they were. I mean, it may be that they know about it and they're very aware of it. I don't think necessarily it was them not saying it. I think it just complicates things, right? If you mention anything other than what people know right now, Bitcoin, you know, they might know Litecoin, you know, but Bitcoin and Libra are the two more popular ones. You throw XRP into the mix. But, you know, what do they know that we don't know, right? What do they know behind the scenes? So, yeah, there might be, you know, the cat's got your tongue where that's, you know, there's that game Balderdash. Can't say it. There's like a bunch of clues. You can't say the word to describe it, and you always want to say that word. So, yeah, there could have been some of that going on. And rounding out here, what do we have here? This stuff, I don't even know where this stuff comes from, but you guys know I'm a giant David Bowie fan, so I couldn't believe this. I really thought this was on The Onion, but apparently there's a new space oddity Barbie, because, you know, even Barbie has to pay tribute to, you know, David Bowie and Space Oddity, right? So that's kind of weird. There's a new Mattel Barbie. She's dressed up just like David Bowie's fictitious sci-fi eagle Ziggy Stardust. I don't get this, but I don't know. It's somewhat interesting. She's in different poses. You know, I don't know who really into that. There's the Bowie, you know, I mean, that looks a little bit off to me, but there you go. That's it. That's what Mattel's doing. That's what they're investing their time in, because they go, you know what we're missing? It's close, right? I mean, a little bit, I don't know. It's not exactly 100% there. And rounding out, what else did I have? Oh, Again, one other fun thing that I stumbled on the internet, again, that I thought was cool, Poetic Lonely Houses by Manuel Pita. These are houses, he has an Instagram account, 300,000 followers, and these are basically lonely houses. I mean, they need love, man. I mean, they're just sitting there, they're isolated. They're in the middle, and maybe there's things that surround them, but this is actually like, who thinks of a series like this? Look at this house. Gosh, it almost looks like a tiny house, right? You almost look, I mean, it doesn't even have a damn door in it. It's got sheets hanging there. You can see the birds flying by. You can see these things, which are chemtrails that were dropped by a recent plane, which is pretty awesome. Not really, but let's not get into that. Clouds, you know, there's the antenna. They have a TV probably in there, but cool stuff nonetheless. And he apparently gets the bird formations in here too. You know, we got these perfect flying in formation right over the top of this house in the middle of like what looks like a wheat field. I don't know what that is. And but I just love this series. I thought it was brilliant. And who knows, maybe he photoshops everything out. I don't know. But I don't even know. I've never even seen a house that lonely in my life that actually has some personality to it. And yeah, just going through here real quick here. The jump, yeah, nice stuff. Again, the birds, right? So I don't know. Maybe he photoshops this stuff in. I really don't know. I don't know. It could be. Who knows? I don't know. I don't have but I want to jump back into the chat real quick and see what. Yeah. By the way, Jungle, you got to put that out there, man. I got to see this. That's some heavy digging, man. If you found that, I mean, we've been wondering all this time. We've had a couple false alarms of Arthur Brittle, but we don't know. We haven't actually seen one. Yeah. Today is about USG. Enjoy your hard work being recognized. Yeah, right on, Bubba Shipes. You know, just contributing and putting something out there for the community, expecting nothing in return, and that's giving. That's the kind of community we have here. Let me see what else we have. What's Jeff from Hodl? Where is he? Bitcom. Yeah, Berthold Shipping says Bitcom. Yeah, Maxine Waters got a little bit confused one day because, I mean, let's face it, let's cut her a break. Bitcoin's only been around for 10 years. It's the only cryptocurrency that's been talked about 99.9% of the time, and she called it Bitcom. You know, I guess anybody could make the mistake, but, you know, what am I going to say? Maybe she's the one that made it. Who knows? I don't know. But go over to DNI right now. We're wrapping it up here. Go over to Digital Nomad Investor, pop in over there, and say hello, and tell him, I think the first time opportunity I've had a chance, tell him that Chip sent you. Chip from the XRP sent you. I've never had a chance to do that, but I'm going to do that today. That's my take. What's yours? Chip?